Howdy, folks. Time to talk some more AI because it's so hot. Lots of conversations the past week or so. I started digging into how AI models get trained, and specifically around music. I don't have access to Suno or Udio, nothing anyone does right now. So I just started doing a lot of searching, using a search engine, trying to find information about, short-term Fourier transforms and wavelets and spectrograms and things like that. AI music is a complex thing. Now, remember, the lawsuit is about whether or not it's legal for these companies to train their models on copyrighted material. But there's a lot of other emotional stuff in the lawsuit, including, I think, the silliness saying that these companies are specifically creating tools with the intent of copying pre-existing works and replacing them and saturating the market with, come on, man. They created these tools to give people a chance to have fun with music. It's just a cool thing. And the fact that users are finding ways to try to create copies, and if you listen to the examples in the lawsuit, and I'm not seeing anyone do this, I've watched a lot of videos, no one's actually playing the examples from the lawsuit to show, the quality or lack thereof. I did that in the previous video. Yeah, they're obviously influenced by Bill Haley in the comments, or Chuck Berry, or B.B. King, or whatever, but they're not copies. They're not even sound-alikes. They're obviously influenced by, but if you just listen to them, you would hear they're not copies. They pose no threat. Could the technology get there in the future? Absolutely. But if you're trying to create copies of existing works, is that the tool's fault or is that the person's fault? And that's kind of my take. So let's think about what do these tools, Suno and Udio, do? AI music tools, they work by following user instructions to generate music based on the tool's deep understanding of musical patterns and styles and genres, etc., not by copying specific songs. When users input copyrighted lyrics or detailed musical information in the prompts and the titles, the tools are going to create music that may closely resemble the existing songs that match those lyrics and titles and styles that you put in, because that's what they're doing. They're designed to fulfill the user's request. They are tools. Therefore, at some point, it's the responsibility of the user for ethical use, because the AI is just following the instructions given like all tools do. So the scale that these things work at, it's a massive catalog. They analyze thousands and thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of songs. And they can store infinite amounts of data, and where humans can't do this. But they have access to all that stuff. So when you say, give me a song in this style, and the more specific you get, the more specific it will get. Just like if you go to Google or whatever search engine you use, and you provide enough terms, you're going to get good responses back. Once you get through all the ad, stuff. But there shouldn't be a lot of outrage when the tool performs properly and gives you what you're asking for. Okay, so remember, from a database perspective, I think these tools, Jesse at Sync My Music has done so much great work, great videos. He's even in the lawsuit, one of his examples. He suggested that these tools might be considered samplers on steroids, and I get that, but I don't think so. Samplers take a copy of something and they don't recreate it. They literally copy it, and then the person using the sample chops it, slices it, etc. A sample is literally a recording of something. AI tools are not giving you a recording. They are regenerating what they think it sounds like. So these AI tools are built on massively extensive data sets that encapsulate structures and patterns and rules of music rather than containing the actual direct copies, the audio files. Once AI has studied a song or a batch of songs, that goes away. You no longer need it. You discard it. You no longer need it. Okay? They learn from the wide variety of stuff, the examples, the styles and songs that are in that data set. They learn about genre and rhythms and harmonies and other musical elements as prompted. They're given metadata. Things are tagged by humans. They say humans are the ones that are gathering Here's a bunch of trap music. What are the characteristics of trap? It's a hi-hat that's very fast. It's a crisp snare. It's an 808 kick. It's got this, that, and the other thing. And you get very, very specific. And then you give it examples. And it says, okay, I hear these frequencies, or blah, blah, blah. And I hear these words. I tie these frequencies to those words. And you do that thousands and thousands of times, it's going to figure it out. You train your data on a data set. Let's say you've got in one example, maybe you've got 1,000 trap songs. Well, then they're going to run this test. They're going to listen to it and do this analysis, and they may run 500 epochs, E-P-O-C-H, an epoch. How many trials through all 1,000 songs? 500 times. And they're going to go back and change things and going to review it and keep on tweaking the models to learn that style and go to the next style. And it's very, very, very complex. And I wish that they would share it with us how they do that to the rest that they can. I get you don't want to share proprietary technology information, but you can share things like, are you using copyrighted material or not? And we all know the answer is yes. But to get back to the sampler thing, you got generative music versus sampling. Unlike traditional samplers that reuse pre-existing audio clips, AI music generators create new compositions by synthesizing the learned knowledge of that training. When given a prompt, they generate music that fits the specific style or mood based on the understanding of the musical principles, not by replicating a specific song. It's not a sample. Okay? So at some point, we've got the issue of user responsibility here. The ethical use of these tools is critical. While the tools themselves are neutral, it's just a tool, it's a hammer, it's a saw, it's a spoon, whatever, and they generate outputs based on the inputs that you and I give them as a prompting person. The ethical responsibility lies with us, not with the tool. Prompts involving copyrighted material, lyrics, song titles, that can lead to ethical or legal issues because it may suggest that you're knowingly trying to replicate protected content. When you copy all the lyrics of a song, you put it in there, and then you put the title of the song that you're trying to replicate, and then you put description words that give you exact genre, tempo, instrumentation, singer type. Well, yeah, the tool is going to say, yeah, you gave me a lot of great data, thanks. Here's something that I think it sounds like. I'm going to reproduce, I'm going to generate, not reproduce, I'm going to generate new audio based on what I think I'm supposed to do. That's kind of how it works. So when you train these tools, from what I learned so far, in order to train your tools, you got to gather your data. Most likely they're gathering audio files, but you can do MIDI files. You can do sheet music as well. And maybe they're doing that for classical, but I'm sure they're streaming YouTube and Spotify and iTunes or whatever. So you got to gather up all that data, and then you got to convert that data, all of it, into a single standard format. And then this audio format gets chopped up and analyzed into graphics. Blew my mind when I learned this. These tools are not listening. The audio is converted to a series of images. Let's say maybe the format is 44.1K, 44,100, samples per second, and so they're not doing it at that resolution. Maybe they're doing it at 10 millisecond or a 15 millisecond chop of a beat or a song or whatever, and it's analyzing all that stuff in that 10 milliseconds or 15 milliseconds, but it's analyzing a graphic image of that. And there are spectrograms, and after spectrograms there are things called wavelets, and then these AI models are very, very good at getting information out of graphics, much more so than they are at getting stuff out of audio. So they're analyzing the graphics to figure out how this stuff works, and then you run it, you do a bunch of epochs, and then you tweak it, and you test it, and then you do things like stretching the images, you're distorting the images, you're adding noise to the images to make it harder for the tool to figure out stuff, and then you get results, and it gets graded. Usually that's graded by humans, but there's ways to do it by machine now. So these tools are analyzing thousands upon thousands, if not millions, of image files of little pieces of music. The audio files, long gone. They were gone after the beginning. So that's something to think about. Getting back to the copyrighted lyrics situation, let's take a look at the Udio terms and conditions. The use of surface. So they're very, very clear that you represent and warrant. I'm going to read this. You represent and warrant that you own all right, title, interest in and to submissions. What is a submission? Your prompt. The description in the prompt, the song title, and the lyrics you put in. So it says you represent and warrant that you own all right, title, and interest to those, including all copyrights and rights of publicity contained therein, and that you possess all necessary rights or have obtained all consents necessary to grant Suno the rights and licenses herein. So you're saying, hey, Suno, I'm putting this stuff into your engine. I have the right to do so. So, did you? No. If you're copying and pasting copyrighted lyrics, you are violating the T's and C's. One could say you're acting unethically. You're trying to game the system. Now, I don't think anyone's trying to do it with malicious intent. They're just saying, hey, can I get this tool to do this thing? We always want to, as humans, we want to hack stuff. We want to break stuff. We want to figure out, can we master this thing? So, yeah, it's interesting, a very interesting situation. But I guess the main point I wanted to get across is that these tools are not samplers. They're not copying audio and reproducing audio files. They ingest audio, learn all the patterns, because music is math at the end of the day, and then they regenerate new stuff based on the framework of what the prompt suggests. Now, I know that there was a recent video that Jesse did that was showing producer tags. You're hearing the actual producer tags being spit out in output. I think it's very, very obvious what that is. That's not sampling. That's the AI tool learning and thinking, oh, those are lyrics. Those are part of the song. There's something in the, I'm being told that this batch of songs is trap music, and they do this thing at the beginning, this little vocal thing, and so that must be part of the genre. So this tells me they must have milked the heck out of the BeatStars catalog or other catalogs like it, because that's generally where you find producer tags. So getting back to the legality of that, okay, that's a separate issue. But they're not sampling. They're not taking that Yo Travie What's Up from their audio recording and copying it and putting it into a new output. It learned, DJ Khaled, it learned, oh, that's part of a trap genre. That's a lyric. That's a part of the recipe of this kind of music. And so it learns it, and it learns it really, really well. And so it spits it out. There's, Jesse mentioned the stutter of one of the producer tags. The tool is learning, oh, that's a characteristic. I've been told, I being the model, have been told this is a accurate piece of, the recipe. So it's not sampling. They don't do that. That's not how the tools work. It's just they're learning. They're obviously Suno and Udio are using copyrighted materials. In this case, they're using, BeatStars type, catalogs of music. And so they're going to get in trouble for that, I'm sure. I don't think that training off of copyrighted material is illegal per se. It's going to be a precedent-setting thing for sure. But to be clear, these are not samplers. And I hope we learn more about this. I hope the lawsuit gives us full disclosure to see how things work. I'm impressed by the technology. It's fantastic technology. But it'll be weird to see what happens. Do they shut it down completely? Do they say destroy your learning models? Technically speaking, how do you do that? You actually, learning models are stored on drives. You destroy the hard drives to make sure there's no copies. But once it's on the internet, it's always the internet, right? I don't know, man. That's my rant. I hope it made sense. Thanks for watching.